feeling so good. Ate too much pizza. It's a problem when you're hungry and someone puts a pizza in front of you. Or we're going to do the Miami Grand Prix, the Kimi Antonelli show. I wonder, you wonder what Europeans think of Miami, because Americans, it's not like America, but they think it's America, you know? It's not like Boston, it's not like Phoenix, it's not like San Francisco, it's nothing, all like the Midwest, Southwest, Northeast, Plains, nothing. It's so different. But Europeans, they must see some sort of commonality, I think. Not sure what. Maybe it's new money. This is the age of new money, which makes this the age of America. Maybe that's the common thread. All right, so you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
Hello, welcome to Hard Compounded American Take on Formula One. Just finished watching the Miami Grand Prix. As always, despite what some of the haters say, it's a good race. Good fun race. Most surprising, it was just race 4. This season seems like it's been so long, and we're just 4 races in. But we got a sprint. We got some new rules changes, itty bitty new rules, kind of slightly new rules, but they did seem to have an impact. All right, Patrick, Miami Grand Prix 2026. Who gets the flowers?
Well, the flowers are reserved for the actual driver of the day, I think. Not some bogus, hogwash, random, I don't know who's actually voting on F1 for the driver of the day. But
a little controversial.
They're typically wrong. So I don't know who these people are, but anyways, Kimi, obviously.
Yeah.
Getting a win, 3rd straight. And his teammate, who everyone expected to be champion easily this year, was nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found, which was maybe an indictment on George. But
yeah.
Overall, I think fun race, lots to do. It was great that we got a sprint this weekend. I think, got people back into it a little bit, after 5 weeks or whatever it's been.
I thought it was kind of telling. It's a little bit concerning, I think, for George Russell, that he sort of was already making excuses. Like, oh, Miami's not my thing. I don't shine in Miami. I'm like, hey, brother, you're the lead. You're the number 1 driver and the best team with the best car. I expect you to shine on every track. But anyway, did you think these upgrades mattered? It seemed to be some of the howls about, oh, it's artificial, fake overtakes. I didn't see that. I thought it was overall a good race.
I think overall fun, lots of stuff going on, good battles on track, lots of, pretty good overtaking. I think it was, I don't know, if the upgrades from teams that brought upgrades, I think naturally improved their vehicles and competitiveness and maybe suited certain drivers more than others. So that it was good to see kind of the progress from beginning of the season to now for a lot of these teams, especially teams that were really struggling, like Williams. Even you could even see the pretty clear progress from Cadillac, Aston, like those total backmarking teams, which are still obvious backmarkers, but
yeah, those two
they at least showed very clear improvement and got closer to everybody else.
I think the issue, though, is, and Toto must just be laughing, because I think I enjoyed the race. I enjoyed the racing. I think even Cadillac showed improvement, but it just looks like this is Mercedes kind of all the way. It looks like McLaren might be on the cusp of figuring things out. Ferrari, I'm not so sure. Charles was just, that was a journey. That was, that was like watching The Hobbit or something. That man went on a journey. Okay. It was Lord of the Rings. He came back, we got to see Charles Leclerc, and then in return, he was white Charles Leclerc, because he was all white and gray and beat down. And I don't know what more he can do. It's sort of like, look, I'm doing everything I possibly can in a Ferrari. I'm not so sure it's going to matter.
Yeah. It's pretty clear that the Mercedes power unit is going to be dominant this season, and that won't change no matter what anybody does, really. Supposedly, there are some teams, basically everyone except for Mercedes and Red Bull, who will essentially be allowed to upgrade their power units to some capacity. And that's fine. I don't think anybody's really going to get close throughout this season. So we'll see how close Max can get to the Mercedes driven vehicles, both the Mercedes and McLaren cars. I think this race seemed potentially telling between, McLaren and Mercedes, that McLaren might actually just be better.
Yep.
Took them a little bit to figure out the best use of that powertrain that they have now. But I mean, both of those drivers looked a lot more comfortable and a lot quicker throughout the whole weekend, compared to Mercedes than they had been previously. And I think they're only going to get better. If George is as lost as he was this weekend, looked like he had a 5-week hangover or something, I don't really know, then Toto's not going to be happy by the end of the season, because his
Yeah, I mean,
works team is going to fucking lose to the team he's selling powered units to.
again, we'll see. We'll see. But because Kimmy, I don't know, Kimmy might be the number one dog there. But I mean, George Russell, it's like, oh, it's your team now, George. He outraced Lewis Hamilton. I know people don't like to hear that, but I'm like, look at their record. Look at the qualifying record, which I think was clearly George, and then racing, which I think was about even. And note this is Lewis Hamilton, and it was Lewis Hamilton's team, and George matched him. Lewis is gone. Hey, I got some punk kids, 19, 18, 19 years old. Oh, but that kid's beating him. I know George Russell. That's not a good sign. Kimi, though, I mean, he looked good. I mean, everyone says he has the bad starts, and this car doesn't seem to matter so much. But, 3 in a row.
3 in a row. I mean, yeah, he's pretty good. He's got, I don't know. Well, he's obviously at top of the standings right now. He might have, what, half as many race wins total as George in his career? I
I'm
mean,
with it. Yeah, that's it.
like, there, George better figure it out fast, man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. But like, speaking of young guys, I mean, Hadjar, we've really talked up. I know I've said like, oh, I don't think that Red Bull number 2 car, that number 2 seat is going to carry over that curse. I don't think he'll hit Hadjar because it's new engine, new power unit, new rules. He's a young guy, nothing to lose. The man crashed. Like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. That Red Bull curse, it comes for every number 2 driver.
yeah, it was not a good weekend for Hadjar. I mean, we'll see how things go. It certainly appeared that the upgrades that Red Bull brought were clearly suited to Max more so than other drivers. I don't know what it is about Max, because he was going basically just as slow as Hadjar at the beginning of the season, those first 3 races. Uh, and, hated the car, couldn't seem to figure it out, couldn't make it go fast. Hadjar was more or less equal. And then they bring some upgrades, and all of a sudden, Max is competing at the top. I mean, if he doesn't do something dumb at the start of this race, spin out, he podiums easily, I think. Like, easily.
Maybe. Spin, I mean, that him and Charles, they both had some pretty cool spins, and though Max was in traffic, I think that was the better save.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy save. There was no reason for him to spin. So it was obviously his fault that he dropped back. But I mean, yeah, I think he was on it, I think, just fast throughout most of the weekend. And Hadjar was like way down. Obviously his qualifying was a little weird. I'm not sure how his car was deemed outside the regulations, but Max wasn't. It's a little weird how that all played out. I don't know. But the crash was inexcusable. He knows that. I don't know. It was just weird that all of a sudden upgrades come, Max can fly, and nobody else is able to drive in a car like that. Nobody else.
Right.
So I don't know what it is that suits him so well compared to anybody else, but he can make it go fast. No one else can.
He can. He seems to get the most out of it. I almost wonder, like, watching Charles just give his all and it not matter. I sometimes wonder who deserves the better car. Is it Charles? The man, he dies by 1,000 cuts, this guy. Is it Max, who I think is, the best driver on the grid? Maybe it's Alonso. Alonso's pushing what? 62, 63? And he's, stuck in Aston, which might be the worst team since he was at that McLaren. I mean, who deserves better car of those three? That's a tough one.
Well, Alonso's paid his dues, so I would say him. I got, Charles, I don't know. He seems like a fine fellow. But if we're saying who deserves the best car, better car, I mean, it's got to be Max or Alonso.
Yeah.
Because they are true bred racers. They don't fucking care about anything else except for racing.
Right.
Charles, at the end of the day, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
He's a nice pin-up fellow, and he goes to Ferrari, and he's kind of the perfect little Ferrari guy. And sure, he deserves, I think, to be in a better situation. But between those three, he's not the same kind of animal as the other two.
I definitely don't think that. I agree with you on that part. I think Max and Alonso are a different breed. And I felt for Charles this week, though, because he did. It was like, what do I got to do? I will do it. I will do it. Oh, you got to run up that hill. You got to fight all those guys. You got to push that boulder up there and just keep pushing and pushing. Every single time it comes down, you push it back up. And he kept doing it. And it was like, does not matter. Damn. That's. All right, let's look at the driver standings. King, number one at 100 points. I think it was last year we talked about, we thought maybe Ollie Behrman could be the next big star. He's young, he's fun, he's well-spoken, good driver. That Haas could go to Ferrari one day. But I think it's Kimi and Antonelli in the Mercedes. I mean, that's 3 straight wins. It's now his second year. He's only 19. He could be with Toto and Mercedes for 10 years, 20 years. Don't know. That's something.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's got potential. It's hard to tell with some of these young guys. But Kimi he seems like he's a little kid, where he's just happy to be there. And turns out he's a damn fast driver in that car. Keeps winning.
Yeah.
But every time I see him or hear him talk, he just is like, I don't know. He's a little golden retriever, He just is. I'm just happy to be hanging around,
Yeah, he's like that kid in the original Jurassic Park. It's a Steven Spielberg trope, He's like all super smart and it really, can do things that adults can't do. But at the end of the day, he's still just a kid. Yeah, maybe. All right, number 2, George, his teammate at 80, 20 points behind. Only 4 races in, same car. I don't know. Charles a distant third at 63. Then it's Lando at 51. And surprisingly, Lewis Hamilton in 5th place, just behind him, 49 points. Oscar only 43. And then Max way down, P6 at 26 points. So you kind of touched on this, but I got a pop quiz for you. 1st to 10, we have a bunch of drivers, Patrick, on the current grid that have 1 to 10, 1 to 9 wins. When does Kimi get 10? Who does he get? Who does he beat? So, for example, Oscar, 9 wins, thanks to last year's car.
Oscar's got 9 wins.
Carlos, only 8. He's been driving for Ferrari for 45 years. Sometimes it seems like it. Sergio, 8. Ford, 6. Carlos Sainz, 4. Kimi, 3. Gasly and Ocon have the 1 each from Alpine. Kimi has 3. Sainz has 4. George has 6. I mean, does Kimi Antonelli with 3 wins, does he get to 10 wins before Oscar at 9? I would say no.
Unlikely, but it's possible.
Does he get to 10 wins before Charles with 8?
I would say yes, probably.
Wow.
Given how clearly better the Mercedes car is currently than any other vehicle.
Right.
The McLaren, I think, is close, but I mean, Kimi was still pretty easily able to outpace everybody else except for Lando. And Lando never even really challenged him. He was just going kind of quick.
Yeah. All right. So Sergio has 8. I think Kimi gets to 10 before Sergio.
I mean, I don't think Sergio ever gets another win. So
right. Yeah. George has 6. I think George gets a 10 before. He better.
He better. If he doesn't, as soon as Kimi gets that 10th win, I'd fire George. Get the hell out of this team. You're useless.
Signs looks okay. Williams, he's figured things out there, but it's
Yeah.
Williams, so he's at 4.
So he's never getting another win. Yeah. That seems fair.
Right. Ocon and Gasly have 1 each.
I doubt they ever get another win.
Wow. Okay, so on the list here, Oscar at 9. I think Oscar gets 10 before. Charles at 8. I think you're right. I think Kimi gets the 10 before. That's just gonna rip. I mean, I
I mean,
think every
that's
time Charles races for Ferrari, it's like he's creating a Horcrux. Okay, it's a little piece of his soul that lives on, but it's tainted. It's just badly damaged. Sergio at 8. I don't think he's getting another win. If Sergio gets another win, that's going to be a hell of a race. Wind, rain, crashes. Who knows what happens?
the only driver left on track, probably.
Right. George at 6. I gotta think George gets a 10 before Kimi. Carlos Sainz at 4. Yeah, I think Kimi gets a 10 before Gasly and Ocon. I wish them well, especially Pierre Gasly. I hope he gets another win, but hard to say. Okay, team standings. As we said, Mercedes is dominant. 180 points. Ferrari 112. McLaren only 94. But as you said, they seem to figure things out, and I think we're gonna see them start surpassing Ferrari. So McLaren at 94 in third, and distant fourth place is Red Bull at 30. Oof. Then Alpine, then it kind of bunches up. Alpine at 21, it's at 18, Racing Bulls at 14. What do we think? This is the first American race of the year, the quote American team. So let's call Ford, Red Bull, Cadillac, and Haas. I thought Haas wasn't really much of a factor, but I thought they all showed themselves well. I mean, this technically is the first year of that Ford Red Bull power unit. This is the first year ever for Cadillac. Haas is Haas.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good. I enjoyed watching all of those teams, all of those drivers compete. I think definitely seems like the Ford Red Bull power unit is quite good. And from everything we kind of hear, it's maybe not on par with the Mercedes, but it's not far off, which is pretty impressive overall. Yeah. And I think they showed up pretty well this weekend. The other two teams, I mean, yeah, I think Cadillac, everything they're doing is solid. I mean, they showed up this weekend and clearly improved. Were not, 8 seconds back in Q1 qualifying. They were only like 1.5 or whatever it was. I don't remember. But I mean, like, pretty solid, pretty good showing overall.
Yeah, it stops overall. Yeah,
still doing everything well. Got through the race. Still in kind of that data gathering phase, it seems like, but they've clearly taken that data and used it to improve considerably in the last month, basically.
Yeah. And did you have any thoughts on the rules changes? I mean, in essence, it was, I think the biggest complaints from people were, one is it seemed the power storage, the battery power storage wasn't just battery power. It was also sort of linked to software, sort of algorithmically linked, and sort of making decisions when it sometimes would fight the driver. And people are saying, hey, the driver should have full control. And then I think a lot of people, maybe that's a little too much in the weeds for most people, but I think that a lot of people were just like, no, this sort of effectively 50-50 power split is just not fun. It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, I think to me, it didn't feel like they put a whole lot of control back in the driver's hands. They just limited how much intervention, I guess, there was from like team strategy, basically. So there's still like this 50-50 hybrid power split, essentially, between electric power and combustion. I think the biggest problem is they only have a tiny battery. So, I mean, ultimately, right, think it's like 1.1 kilowatt hours of usable energy. I guess for perspective, most fully electric vehicles in North America, the smallest batteries that they have, usable energy is like 55 kilowatt hours. And those can go all the way up to 200 kilowatt hours, right? So this is like 1/50th of the size of a typical road going vehicle. So it's not that much energy. And they're deploying a lot of it very quickly. And so I guess to what they did, basically, these regulations changes is they reduced how much energy can be recovered throughout a lap. So that means you're not spending as much time recovering energy. And that means basically slowing down. And they increased how quickly you can recover energy. So they increased max regenerative power from, I don't know, 250 kilowatts to 350 kilowatts, I think. So ultimately, you can recover faster and you have less overall to recover, which means then you get less of that super clipping that everybody was crying about. And honestly, no fan in their right mind would ever notice the super clipping until drivers complained about it. Right. So, like, I
Right.
just think overall, the racing that you see, the racing that you watch, like, nobody would complain, I think, if the drivers didn't complain. So, just regurgitating whatever a driver is saying because that's your favorite driver and they're complaining and whining, like, it's dumb. You should
Yeah.
stop doing that. Figure it out for yourself, enjoy what you enjoy, and the racing is good. So
Yeah, I enjoyed those
stop
first 3
crying.
races. Yeah, I agree. I enjoyed those first 3 races, and I do think the sport and the fans and the regulations bodies should listen to the drivers, absolutely. But yeah, there did sort of become a bit of a pissing match with folks, especially online, sort of insisting, no, they're true fans because they were against this type of racing and against the use of the battery. And I think like, no, you're as you said, regurgitating some of the things the drivers said, and this is fun, and you just want to prove that you're a real fan, a really real fan.
Yeah. I mean, I think ultimately, like, these small regulations changes improved certain aspects that the drivers were complaining about. In particular, the super clipping issue, as well as kind of those big speed differences that we saw, why Ollie crashed in the previous race, right? Trying to avoid someone going way slower in a part of the track that you wouldn't expect somebody to be going that slowly in. So I think they were effective in that respect. And I think that's fine. And it didn't seem to affect too much the actual racing that we got to see. So, I like that. If you want the drivers to have complete control over how much power to deploy and when to deploy that, if you want this 50-50 power split, like, you need a bigger battery. It's as simple as that. You just don't have enough energy because even if you're full down one of these long straights, you're deploying the entire thing within, 2/3 of that straight. So now you're no longer at full power. In fact, you're basically at 50% power. And so I think that's what people are really concerned about. It's like you're just not going to have full power at any given point on the track. And that can be frustrating to see. So I think, you'll have to increase your ability to provide full power throughout the full lap. And I think the only way realistically to do that is to reduce the actual split between electric and combustion power, or increase the amount of energy carried on board so that you can actually provide full electric power throughout a full lap.
Switching to the soft compound. If you like it, then you should have put a bet on it. So the sports market continues to climb, accelerate, billions and billions and billions more dollars. F1 continues to grow, billions more dollars. So here in America, we now have legalized gambling. Give these kids a phone. No, excuse me. Gambling on your phone is only for adults, children. You got that? Wink, wink. So we can now bet on F1 legally using FanDuel and other apps. F1, in fact, signed a big sponsorship deal with FanDuel. I just got me thinking, what would be some good bets? I mean, there's some obvious ones. I think in Miami, Kimi will win. I think Lando will win the sprint. George will win the race, for example. You do some parlays with when you have spring weekends. I mean, what do you think would be some good bets?
I mean, you could do anything
Fastest
like
lap,
like horse racing, right? Where it's like you
right?
get top three, or you could do our game we play across the line, and choose top five, and depending on how many those drivers do come in the top five, whatever order. I don't know. There's all kinds of things you can bet on now, ways to bet. And so I don't know. I would take a futures bet on Kimi to win the drivers championship.
That's true. You could, I haven't gone onto the app yet. I haven't looked at what bets they're offering. Yeah, who gets champion
I'm sure
instructor?
Kimi and George are probably right around the same. I
Right.
don't know. I'm betting minus 600, something ridiculous. Like,
Well, then what would be some good bad bets? Like, oh, who might,
oh,
like, because NBA, like,
like a max drivers championship.
no, 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 like, not bad in the sense that, like, oh, Alonso's my favorite driver. I'm going to put $1,000 on him to win to win the drivers championship, and if he does, I win $1,000,000. But what about like how in the NBA, they're like, oh, he just missed a shot. He missed the shot. Ref called this. These kind of like real time bets, like, oh, he
Like a
could have
driver
passed.
to not
Why
make the
didn't he
grid because
pass?
he
Yeah,
fucking crashed on the
yeah. Why didn't he pass Alonso there? How come Sergio's losing to Botas? You gotta start thinking like, ooh, what would be some like underhanded, sneaky, pseudo illegal bets
well, I mean,
that you might get a driver involved in?
I mean, we saw 2 times last year, right? A little switcheroo for the win between the McLaren drivers.
That's a good one. Hey, suddenly, hey, I got $1,000,000 on Oscar to win. Suddenly, Zach gives the call. Hey, Oscar, give the place back. That would
Or
be
yeah, like Oscar to get 10 wins before George gets 10 wins. It's like, well, Oscar sandbags for the next
right, right.
4 races and George wins all of them. And
Yeah, you can really start. You know, I mean, just lap by lap, pit stops.
fastest
Man,
laps would be interesting.
yeah, pit stop.
They
Oh,
don't
look, it
matter
took
anymore. So somebody pitting on the last lap to get new, fresh, soft tires and
right,
drives the fastest lap. Where it's like,
or
you didn't need to do that. You don't get points for that anymore.
right. Oh, I this should have been a 2.8-second pit stop, and it took 3.5 seconds. Somebody made a little bit of cash on the side for that. That gets you got to monitor this stuff very closely.
Ooh, earliest lap that a safety car comes out, Somebody just, oops, I went off. Oh
Right, right.
no.
Yeah, yeah, this could happen. All right.
It should. We should corrupt F1 so that there's just no good sporting anymore.
There's just so much money flowing into these sports and so much money flowing into betting that, I mean, inevitably. Also, when I think of, let's see, we've got betting, we've got Miami, gotta think of golf. I think I've been hounding for years about how Liberty Media and F1 are following the NFL rule book. This is what they're doing. But I think I missed out on the fact that golf is something F1 could follow. I mean, golf, it's 4 days. F1 is 3 days. Like I said, what about cumulative scoring? How'd they do on Friday? How'd they do on Saturday? How'd they do on Sunday? Boom. Like I said, Rory McIlroy won the Masters, and I think he kind of shit the bed on Sunday, but he did well enough on the other days, right? I think we need to start opening up our vision of what F1 could be. Why does it have to just be a race on Sunday? Why not a 3-day event?
Well, it's sort of a 3-day event and it's sort of cumulative, just not per weekend.
You're right in a sense. It's sort of like because the practice matters, qualification matters, sprints matter, races matter. They don't all matter equally though. Like whereas in golf, even if there's maybe more pressure on you on a Sunday, what you scored on Thursday carries the same exact weight as what you score on a Sunday.
That's fair. Yeah.
The thing, though, back to my NFL thing is because a lot of the Europeans want to poo-poo the Miami. Oh, this isn't a good track. So, F you. It's always a fun race and a fun time. And I have to say, I like a lot of the street tracks. But one of the things we're seeing in the NFL that I wonder if we're going to start seeing in F1 is these cities and states are just throwing literal billions of dollars at NFL teams saying, oh, build your stadium here. And then around that stadium, they just started to develop more and more and more. It's like, hey, we have restaurants, we have shops, we'll have an office here. Maybe we'll put a big, I don't know, simulator facility here for fans all year round. And we turn this into sort of a hub of commerce rather than, oh, we're going to put an F1 track or a racetrack, so we have to put that out in the countryside. I mean, the Chicago Bears are one of the historic teams in the NFL. The state of Indiana is offering them billions of dollars. Move your stadium, move your team here. And they're thinking about it. I mean, it could be the death of street tracks, which I think some fans would like. I wouldn't, but I just wonder if if we're going to start seeing that with F1. A lot of these new tracks sign up and it's like, hey, we're going to make this an entire year-long, if possible, economic region.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of what Vegas has done. They have the F1 experience there now with, simulators and go-karting and all kinds of stuff, right there at the paddock, essentially, or where the paddock is when the race comes to town. And I think it can be something where there's a dedicated track, but it also feels like just shutting down the streets for a weekend and having a race through your city seems like it's appealing to a lot of places. I mean, that's what Vegas is. That's what Madrid will be this year.
Baku.
So we'll see kind of how F1 and Liberty Media can utilize that to, keep the F1 experience going even when the race is not in town, basically. I think they're trying it in Vegas, and I think they'll probably implement certain things like that at a number of other events. To me, Miami's interesting, right? Because it's around Hard Rock Stadium, you kind of think, well, maybe certain events and tracks don't need to or won't be sponsored by cities or states, but like actual private funds from people that just own an area. I mean, dude owns that whole area, Hard Rock, and the surrounding parking lots and whatnot. I mean, private equity, I guess, could just sort of facilitate a lot of that as well and try to get into the F1 space and keep all of these things alive. I don't know. I think there's a lot of room for year-round events and experiences.
Dirty Air segment, continuing this theme of big money. I saw a list of the richest F1 drivers. It was actually the richest athletes. There were 4 F1 drivers on the list, top 50 richest athletes in the world. Michael Schumacher at $1 billion. Lewis Hamilton edging toward $1 billion. Alonso, just over $500 million. Kimi Raikkonen, not Kimi Antonelli, nearing $500 million, which shocked me that Kimi Raikkonen was making that much money. I mean, he had a hell of a long career, and a certain fan base just loved him. He was just a fearless and a prick, and a lot of people just loved that. But I was surprised. I'm sure we'll see Max on that list in a few years. And then this almost surprised me even more. Team valuations. The average F1 team valuation now, and it's being lifted up by Mercedes and Ferrari, but the average team valuation is now $3.4 billion. They used to hand these things out for $1. You take over my costs. You take over my sunk costs, and it's yours. Major League Baseball averages $3 billion, $3.2 billion. Now, there's like 30-ish teams in like some hard scrabble cities like Cleveland and Detroit and St. Louis, but $3.2 billion Major League Baseball. F1 is $3.4 billion. NHL teams only $2.1 billion. I don't know. I remember when we started this? Damn. American money there's money flowing through this country, even though we ain't got it. Even a lot of folks ain't got it. We're not the fortunate sons like John Fogerty said, but damn, there's a lot of money here.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And to think it's been like 10 years basically since Haas entered, and I don't remember what Gene Haas paid, but it was probably something like $250 million, at most to get in, to buy a team in F1. And now, everything's all the boats are floating up. Tide's coming in and
Tide is
they're
rising.
going up.
They are.
So, I mean, yeah, it's pretty amazing how much it's grown.
Yeah. And then you think, who wants to be involved in F1 because of its global sponsorship appeal? It appeals to masses. It's highly technical. It's engineering. It's related to cars, which everyone uses practically in the modern world. And you think in entertainment, so you got like Disney, Coke, Pepsi. Then you got big tech. They all want to be like, because they're providing simulations, cloud data, data analysis, AI. They're all wanting to be sponsors. Crypto. This is where the big money is. They're still throwing money. I can, by 2030, damn, this is the sport to be in. Which made me, so a couple quick points. So Pat O'Ward, he's a good, very damn good Indy driver. Remember when all the fans were howling, "Oh, this isn't real racing, these F1 rules" at the start of the year. He was saying, "Oh, he doesn't want to." He thought about being an F1 driver, but doesn't want to now because the racing is too artificial. I was like, dude, that is some bullshit. You would absolutely jump at a chance from if you could move from Indy to F1.
Goofy. I mean, I don't even know what anybody means by the racing is artificial. I mean, like, what does that mean? The drivers are just trying to put on a show? This isn't fucking WWF, man. Like, I don't know. I just think that's an absurd notion. The racing is fun. Just because when somebody passes, they can then get repassed doesn't make it not real. I mean,
yeah, saying that he used battery power, that's not real. It's like saying, well, he was on the soft tires, but he's on the medium. Like, okay, all right. Is this artificial? Yeah, like I said, it was so much of it was just a few dudes screaming, they're real fans, and so they don't want to watch this. So it was bullshit. Across the line, that is our segment where we predict the top 5 for the next race. The next race is in Montreal, one of my favorite cities, but not for 3 more weeks. So it's going to be like end of May, and we'll only have 5 races in.
that's kind of weird.
Yeah. So in across the line, we make our predictions for the top 5. If we choose a driver, he's off the board. The other person cannot take him. If our driver is in the top 5, we get a point. If he's in the exact right spot, we predict we get 3 points. Patrick, what are the current standings of across the line after 4 races?
Yeah, well, coming in, we were tied at 7 points apiece. It's weird that we're only 4 races in. But top 5, after some penalties were awarded for this race, was Antonelli, Norris, Piastri, Russell, Verstappen. Your picks many moons ago were Russell, Norris, Gasly, Verstappen, Behrman.
Oof.
So you got 3 points for Lando in P2, and you got a point each for George and Verstappen, both in the top 5, but not where you selected them. So that brings you to 12 points. I had Piastri, Antonelli, Leclerc, Hamilton, Lawson. So I got a point each for Piastri and Antonelli in the top 5, but nobody else. So, now let's see, you got 12. I'm at 9, 4 races in, still close.
All right. Who goes first?
I believe you go first.
Well, the Mercedes power unit seems dominant. The McLaren seems to be figuring things out. I'm going to go Lando Norris.
Dang, Norris. Nice. I'm going to take the hot hand. I'm going Kimi. P1 once again. Then I'm going to say George is going to have a 3-week hangover this time. So I'm not taking him. I'm taking Oscar.
Well, then I'll take George. And then, because he's so good, the car's getting better, I'm going with Max.
I wanted Max. Nice. Then let's see. I'll take Lewis because Charles is just gonna be angry. And then let's see. I don't know. Who else am I gonna take? Maybe I'll take Pierre. I think he'll have a bounce back race.
Gasly. Yeah, but who knows? I mean, Montreal, that I just remembered this is when Lando and Oscar battled. Lando clipped him. I don't think we're going to see that again this year, but who knows? All right, so I'll go. Ooh, this is tough. I'm going to go with Hadjar because I got 2 Red Bull guys in there. Heck, who's Gasly's teammate?
Colapinto had a pretty good
Yeah.
race this weekend,
I was gonna say,
actually.
forgot, man, but I shouldn't. Yeah, because what was he? He did pretty well. Did he finish top 10? I think
Yeah,
he did. Did he
he
finish
was like
10?
P7 or something like that.
Was it B7? Crap, I didn't realize that. Yeah, I mean, Charles
He
got
got
bumped down to
bumped up
P8.
because of Leclerc, basically. Yeah,
Yeah.
Leclerc ended up finishing just behind him.
All right. So I've got Lando, George, Max, Isaac, and Franco Colapinto. You have Kimi, Oscar, Lewis, Pierre Gasly, and
I guess I'll take Leclerc. He'll get in the top 5. Yeah, he'll get up there.
what's funny, I can't read my own writing, and I thought you had already picked him. So damn it, I missed out. Okay, any crazy predictions, Patrick?
I just don't know.
Funny.
I think, yeah, I mean, we
I'll let you
always
think
do
about
crazy
it because,
predictions, and I think a lot of the craziness has come and gone for this season. So I'll think about it for a second.
all right, so mine aren't really crazy, but we had this long break because 2 races in the Middle East were canceled. I'm going to say 2 more races in the Middle East will be canceled. And the dude who runs Silverstone with the most British name ever, Stuart Pringle, says they can host a race, or Ray says F1 suggests Turkey might be able to host a race. I say none of that happens. The remaining 2 Middle East races get canceled, and none are made up. And then I have my sad, crazy prediction is everybody saying, "Oh, we're gonna go back to V8s. We want V8s." Even the FIA is sort of implying that this could happen by 2030. The engines, the power units, the way they are now, will continue to progress. The use of hybrid ice and sustainable fuel will continue, and we're not going back.
Yeah, I mean, I believe in that. When what's his face from the FIA said, yeah, it's pretty much guaranteed that we're gonna have just V8s 2030. I mean, that was dumb.
Yeah,
There's no chance.
It's not.
There's no chance that they're gonna only use V8s. I mean, if you want a V8, maybe, but they're gonna put in a big ass motor in there too,
Right.
and run some battery power. Like it's
Yes, right. I guess we should clarify that. It's like, look, what people think of as V8, and they think this is going to be an ice, fully ice, or mostly, their pipe dream is not happening.
Yeah, and they're probably gonna have like crazy efficient exhaust, so you're not gonna get these same loud screaming
Right.
V10s or V8s that we used to have. It's gonna be yeah, we're not going back to the old days. Okay, it's not gonna happen.
I want to thank you all for listening to everybody's most beloved father and son F1 podcast. It is much appreciated, and we are lights out.
Thanks for listening.